Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Corey Wren, and I'm a vegan sociologist, vegan feminist, and vegan witch. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a very sacred space that is very close to where I live. I live in Canterbury, England, and Canterbury is most famous, of course, for the Canterbury Cathedral, about which I will always also have a video for you to check out. But lesser known is this amazing place, St Augustine's Abbey. St Augustine's Abbey is about a 10-minute walk from my house, and I live just inside the city walls, the old medieval walls of Canterbury. And this is a ruin today, but it is basically the old monastery that was put on the site at the very end of the 500s. Can you imagine? This is long after the Romans have left England in the 400s, and Anglo-Saxons have now taken power. At the time, England was ruled by kings. Well, still is, but Anglo-Saxon sort of regional kings. And so the Kingdom of Kent, which is where Canterbury is located, and by the way, this is one of the first places to be colonized by the Romans, because Canterbury and Kent are facing the English Channel. So after the Romans have left, now they have the kings of the various regions, and King Ethelbert is now ruling Kingdom of Kent by the late 500s. And Rome sends over a missionary. So Rome is not done with England yet. Sends over a missionary to Canterbury to set up the very first Christian monastery in all of Britain. And it's located right here in Canterbury, and it's in the shadow of the Canterbury Cathedral. But people don't know about it because it's a ruin now. But that's unfortunate, because it used to be this really massive, amazing, huge building where the monks lived. You can probably take a wild guess why it has become a ruin. King Henry VIII, in his determination to completely cut off connections with Rome and take all power for himself and the state, ordered that all the monasteries across the country be dismantled, the roofs taken off so that they would crumble, parts taken away to be resold and raise money. And that is exactly what happened to St Augustine's Abbey, the very first Christian monastery in the country. But at least there are still some ruins here for us to explore. And I think by the 1700s, a couple of hundred years after, or less than that, after King Henry had his dirty work done, people were recognizing the beauty of the space as a ruin and appreciating its historical value. So I think that's one of the reasons why it has preserved it all through the past 500 years. But yeah, it's been sitting there on the site for hundreds and hundreds, over 1,000 years, which is just absolutely fascinating. So you can walk around it today. It is run by the English Heritage, which is, if you're not from here, the English Heritage is basically a charity that takes care of really important sites across England. And you can become a member of that and get passes into it. However, because I am a resident of Canterbury, I get free access after hours as a dog walker. So this is a little known secret. Also, if you're a resident of Canterbury, you can get access to the cathedral for free. So that's nice, because this is our neighborhood. And it'd be nice to actually go into my neighborhood spaces, these sacred public spaces, not having to pay 10 quid, 20 quid every single time. So it's really nice space. They open it up after hours and before hours for dog walkers. And it's a really, really lovely treat, because Canterbury is an old medieval city. We have some green spaces, but not a lot. And it's important to have safe spaces for dogs to explore around. So that's exactly what I was able to do. And I've been to the site many times, and this is not Mishka's first time here, but this is Mishka's first time off the leash, as we say in America. So she's had a really great time exploring around, and you can still see some really cool things that have maintained throughout the centuries. For instance, you can still see some of the tile work that would have been on the floor of this monastery space. And also, of course, you can see the cathedral. They were working together. The cathedral, incidentally, didn't get destroyed for a lot of reasons, probably because King Henry knew that if he messed with the Canterbury Cathedral, he'd really be risking a firestorm. But it's also been suggested that he wanted to protect the Canterbury Cathedral because it's connected to the King's School. And the King's School is the oldest school in the country, also founded in the 500s. And King Henry had a lot invested in the King's School. It was part of his legacy. And the Canterbury Cathedral, after King Henry dissolved the Catholic churches here, that the cathedral was actually maintained as a space for the King's School. And actually there is some of the graffiti that is still visible today in the Canterbury Cathedral, where the schoolboys were in there. Because actually parts of it, like the most sacred parts of the Canterbury Cathedral, were used just as like coal and wood storage and furniture storage. And you can see spaces where the boys would sneak in there and draw graffiti. So yeah, the Canterbury Cathedral definitely did not come out unscathed. Thomas Becket's memorial space, his altar where the pilgrims came to worship, that was completely destroyed. And lots of other parts of the ornamentation in the cathedral had been destroyed. But a lot of it also, and by the way, not just with King Henry, a lot of it also was destroyed during the English Civil War, which is also a religious disagreement, if you will. But anyway, Canterbury Cathedral didn't get out unscathed. The Abbey is sort of the forgotten stepchild over here, which predates. Well, the cathedral also sits on old Roman sites and pagan sites. But people forget about this very old abbey over right across the street, basically, from the cathedral. So it's definitely worth a peek, and it's really nice to come there. Even if you don't have a residence pass and you're paying to get in, it's not super expensive because there's not much there left. The museum inside is really, really nice. It's definitely worth a visit. And the other great thing is that it tends to not be crowded at all. Whereas at the cathedral, one of the annoying things about living in Canterbury is when you're trying to just get through the city, there's 1,000 tourists waiting in line to get into the cathedral. So that can be a real pain. But the Abbey tends to be almost empty, and you will oftentimes have the whole space to yourself. So I would definitely recommend checking this space out. I don't identify as Christian, but I do recognize the historical significance of the space. Incidentally, King Ethelbert, he was actually baptized by St Augustine, who was sent over by Rome. So it's an interesting transitional story. I think that's one of the reasons it's quite famous in England. It's a transitional story from the pagan Anglo-Saxons into the Christian society that England would become.